Given we have esteemed, experienced guests in the SEO link building world, I figured we'd get to kind of the meat of things that are old school in terms of link building perspective, maybe a little, some people might say less done these days, but still effective in certain ways that both of you have great experience doing and know the ins and outs of, like, things that were done 5 years ago or 10 years ago that now no one is doing, but still work. And one thing that especially I think in our conversations that is particularly of interest to me, I actually did a ton of this in the past, is the concept of link buying. There's a lot of people that did that. Almost everyone seemingly did link buying like 10 years ago. Now it might be a little less current, but for those that are doing it, potentially still effective. I know, Julie, I think you do a good amount of that. Like, how effective is that today? How much of that is your process? And maybe you could just speak to link buying in particular.
Thank you for admitting you did it, first of all.
Yeah.
That's a very common thing that a lot of people don't want to talk about it. Right. I think it still works really well, but I think you have to be very smart about it. Whereas, say, 10 years ago, you could get away with buying, tons and tons of links for clients, and that might work. But today, I approach it as same way Garrett approaches what he does, really. Or a lot of people build links. So we go out, we try to find good sites that, we think this would be a link that we would click on. So my guys actually aren't using a lot of SEO. They're not thinking about metrics and things like that. They're just thinking, if I came across this page, would I click on this link?
Okay.
Or would I think this is a paid link and not click on it? So we try to approach things basically the same way I think everybody else does. We're not building like at a huge scale. Between the four of us, we build about 100, 125 links for about 10 clients.
Okay.
So it's nothing like the old days where we would have some clients where we would build like 75 links in a month. And they weren't really great links, especially looking back. Now we try to, focus more on the quality of them. But it's working very well for our clients.
Do you think it makes sense and I don't know if this is the case with those clients, where if you're doing link buying, should it be a small, is there a right percentage of overall link profile that should be bought to de-risk that?
Right, that's a very good question. And usually we are part of a bigger team.
Okay.
So the two of us worked together on a big project
Clients
recently.
A lot. Okay.
Yes. So Garrett was doing some guest posting. I was doing the link buying. They were getting a lot of organic links. They had an in-house team. So lots of times we're working, sometimes I might be like 5% of someone's link effort.
Okay. So in practice, I'm just curious, if you don't mind revealing this, how do you float that with a potential prospect? Like, you're reaching out to a site to say, I potentially am willing to offer to buy a link from you.
Right.
Do you reveal the site up front? Are you revealing what you're willing to pay up front? What does that look like in practice?
Right. We don't reveal any of that up front because we don't want to put the client at risk. So we might contact somebody and say, we have a client in the home furnishing space. They're interested in doing a link, and we've got this article that we found on your site. We'd like to work in some content. Much of the time, we don't even mention money, but they come back. A lot of these bloggers, they come back asking for it, say, yeah, we would be happy to do that, but it's going to be $5,000.
Okay.
And so I say, we have $150, and they say, okay. Because they'll take the money, 9 times out of 10, but a lot of them start big.
Okay.
But, once people have agreed, they say that sounds like a good deal, then we will say, here's the client, here's the exact content change we'd like.
Okay. Is there any websites you would feel just shouldn't be doing link buying at all? Or is there a right fit for link buying?
I think that depends on how you do it. I don't generally take people who they say, we've just invested our life savings into this business and we want you to buy 30 links. and they don't have any links, so I would say no.
Okay.
So for a lot of the clients that are smaller, or I think it might be riskier, we might just do one link.
That makes sense. It's a smaller scale. Yeah, I think we have a mix of medium and large size clients, some more nationally known brands.
Right.
In those contexts, you mentioned risk and outing. There are some situations in the past, for maybe people are aware, where some bigger brands got outed for buying links. And I feel in those contexts, the risk reward of even 3 of those could, if a client got outed, would be disastrous. You get fired for one as an agency. 2, you could get penalized if someone the wrong site gets it. and that ends up happening. So that's one reason we avoid it. I'm not like religiously against link buying, but that's, I think, a reason for us why it just doesn't fit in the process. And also, I do think it does make me nervous to do it at any kind of scale. Also, as we've grown as an agency and training new people, I imagine both of you could easily place a paid link and not have it smell like a paid link to a Google engineer pretty well. But I don't know if you would agree that that's kind of hard to train 40 people to do potentially without risk.
Right. That's why I never trained my team on SEO, because I didn't want them to really think about things in those terms. They just really function as like a human user.